5 years ago, I decided to leave my career in consulting to come back here to my alma mater to become a teacher. And I encountered something that I didn't expect. I found out that most of my students suffered from a paralyzing fear of failure.
I love exam day, and you'll see why here in a second. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Texas! Fight! Texas! Fight! Texas! Fight! Will you stop?
I think failure is awesome. I love failure, and I want all students to be failures. And that freaks them out when they hear that, because when we hear the word failure, we think of it defined, in this catastrophic, everything has gone wrong in your life, and you ultimately are defined by the failure that you have achieved, right? You are the failure because you failed. And I think we've just defined the word wrong. I think that it's incorrect.
Just for this one? Yeah, that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Tuttle Tale, interview with Dean Allard, Sing 1A, take 1.
So, Clint, I met when he was either at orientation or when he was in the spring of his senior year, and he and his mother were visiting campus. And Clint had this wild hair. It was almost like an afro, but it was really curly sort of stuff. And he wasn't what you would think of your stereotypical business student, not that there's any one type, but it was just, he was always a little off-center, right? Very enthusiastic, even as a freshman, I remember that. He has this creativity side to him that made him stand out from the other students. So you couldn't help but notice Clint as somebody that you wanted to be around, but also that, it's sort of like, where's this guy gonna end up? And it was interesting to see where his career's taken him. I never thought, ever, that he would be a faculty member. No, that was not one of the things, that was not one of the top 10 things I would have thought about what Clint was gonna do. Prison, maybe. No, I'm kidding.
So, how did I first notice this? It was definitely the 2 in the morning emails I was getting from students telling me that they were, quote, freaking out. And it was usually for something very minuscule. Am I gonna lose the A? Because if I lose the A, I lose the 4.0. If I lose the 4.0, I lose the internship. If I lose the internship, I'm gonna lose the full-time job. If I lose that full-time job, I'm not gonna be happy. So this exam is gonna determine my happiness 20 years from now. And I would say, calm down, it's gonna be okay.
He's like super driven on the learning aspect. So like he tells the student, you probably remember this, like don't care about the grade, like it's all gonna be okay. But yeah, so like he just like really drives in the learning point, and I think that's like a really big game changer for a lot of students, because I know for me I was like, whoa, like my teacher has never been like focused on the learning and like the grade will come, or like don't worry about the grade, because like as like a college student, like most of the time, like you're worried about what grade you're getting in a class because you need a certain GPA to do this, do that, and Clint just like throws that out the window, and he's like, no, like you're not allowed to worry about that in the class.
His students, I think he really cares about that they're happy, about their well-being. If he had a student who, I think it's interesting that a lot of the people who, they just take the MIS course for business foundations with him, yet they see guidance from him regardless of what they're doing, which I think is pretty cool. A lot of times, you would think that these aren't really his students. They're not, MIS majors. However, he really cares about everyone who he comes in contact with. He's doing a lot, with the business school, to where he wants to kind of stress this thing where it's not about how much money you're making, but it's about your overall happiness, which I think is really cool, and just kind of how he cares about his students and really interacts with his students, finds ways to connect with his students and everything like that.
As soon as the semester's over, you forget everything. So the one thing that they're going to remember is the last lecture. We do an exercise called the driver's exercise, and it's where they basically assess of the 6 things that a career can provide for you. How well known is the brand of the company, or how much do they pay you, or the people that you work with, or the work-life balance, or how much do you love the actual job you do. There's all these different things. As I make them go through and rank them from 1 to 6. And what you find is that students don't all pick the same thing. It's not just money, and it's not just work-life balance. It's a mix. So that driver's exercise and the song are like the 2 big things about the last lecture that I really want to do. And I find that the students reach back to me. They always they ask me to send the driver's exercise to them again because they need to do it. And then, of course, they remember the song.
All through my city,
all through my home, flying up into the sky. I got that. So then, let's see. I got that. Because the whole point is like to pick a song that everybody is hearing all the time. So then when they hear the song, they're not going to be able to think of anything but the Excel lyrics. So then I always try to like think about like, all right, how do I apply this to a student? So the song I started doing was like, so like, I got this spreadsheet and I'm on my own. Gotta get the numbers crunched. Gotta get the numbers crunched before tomorrow morn. Something like that. The one thing I had thought about was like, because it's a music video and everybody's like, you know, somebody was like, oh, I wanted to do a live song, which I don't know why. Maybe it's just more fun. So I could always do the song which is like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which I always just did. That was my very first song that I ever sang in front of the class. So, you know, at the end, we could always do that, you know, show the video and then just be like, all right, you know, let's do one live song just so that everybody gets to say that, you know, and then we can do a sing-along. And I was telling my wife that I was going to do a music video, and she was really disappointed. She's like the most honest person in the world. So she said, you really should do a live song. So I thought I would do one song with you, and the reason I want to do this is this. Singing for me is always a de-stressor, and I figure right about now is the time that we all need a little bit of a de-stressor. So I want to sing one song for you guys that you all know, and if you guys can sing along, let's do it. This is a story all about how my life got flipped right upside down, and I'd like to take a minute just to sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called... Yeah. Here we go, come on. Sing. In West Philadelphia, born and raised, on the playgrounds where I spent most of my days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing. Now when I was shooting some b-ball up by the school, when a couple of guys, they were up to no good, started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one little fight and my mom got scared, said you're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air. I whistled for a cab, and when it came near, the license plate said fresh and it had dice in the mirror. If anything, I could say this cab was rare, but I said no, forget it. No. If anything, I could say this cab was rare, but I said no, forget it. Yo, Holmes, come on.
We need to stop saying that failure is not an option. That makes sense if it's halftime and you're down by 7 points and you need a motivator, but that is not realistic. Failure is an option.
So that's what I'm trying to get through to students, and I think if we can get people to see that, the amount of anxiety that students feel in college will go down. Because I think that's another epidemic that's happening. It's just the amount of anxiety that happens in college is so immense, and it's sad. And students need to know that, hey,